everybody, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Prep Court. Rich Estrella, along with my friends Randy Rosenblum, Bob Gibson, and Dan DeForest will be joining us tonight as well. And you know what, guys? We are here where we thought we would never be. There's going to be football. Looks like basketball's going on already, a few other sports, but I did not see, fellas, I did not think I would see high school sports in this fiscal year, which would start in, of course, September of 2021, this June. But I didn't think we'd see any sports, guys. What's going on, fellas? How you guys all doing?
How quickly it's all come together, too, right? I mean, we just got the announcement, it seems like just a couple of days ago, that sports are back. Now we're talking about indoor sports after a lawsuit was settled. We're going to have football, and we're going to get everything now, I think. And how quickly coaches, officials, principals, athletic directors are putting all this together so we can start getting kids on the field and playing sports. It really is. It's something else. I was on a Zoom call last week with area baseball coaches, and I mean, they were just tickled to be talking about scheduling baseball games. And there was an umpire representative on, and he was talking about how they had everything handled as far as how, getting the umpires out there for the game. So, everybody's had this idea in mind. I think that's part of the reason why everybody's kind of hitting the ground running. Everybody kind of had plans in place. And here we are, like you said, it's happening.
Well, unbelievable to me. And again, I thought for sure the city section was dead, but Randy Rosenblum is here to tell us different. Randy?
Yeah, Rich, I thought it was not going to work either, and I'm kind of surprised that we're going to get everybody involved. Earlier in the week, the order came down, and the schools and the LAUSD can play. Buettner, who is the superintendent, gave him the green light. So now it's going to be up to the individual schools to see how quickly they can ramp up. Earlier, the charter schools who have a waiver were okay, like an El Camino Royale or a Palisades or a Granada Hills. The charter schools were already going to go forward because of the waiver. But now other schools can join them. I know Taft High School has said, yeah, we'll ramp it up. We'll be prepared. We'll get out there in Woodland Hills and we will play. I don't know that all the schools will play varsity football. And there won't be JV games, by the way. It'll just be varsity. But I do think we'll get a good group, a substantial group of schools that'll go forward and get their games in. Even though they're starting later than the Southern Section schools, they do have the one advantage in that they can play up until April 30th. Wow. The out date for the CIF Southern Section is April 16th. So it's a 2-week longer window in the LA City section. So I'm very optimistic we can get the majority of the schools on the gridiron. And as you guys have alluded to, that means all the other sports are going to come back too. The outside sports are already with the green light. The indoor sports are just getting started. So it's going to be an exciting time and a busy time for the LA City section.
DeForest, what do you got to say about all this mess?
I think it's going to be great. We finally got football going. The kids are up and getting wrapped up. I mean, I'm sure by that time they heard that, they had already put on their uniforms and started practicing. I think it's going to be interesting how quick they get ready, because there's definitely a big difference when you start putting on the pads and you start hitting. You got to be very careful. You need a little bit of conditioning and some practice before you do that. So I'm looking forward to a great start, though. I think they're going to play about 5 to 6 games is what I heard.
Well, I've been told by the experts that it probably takes right around probably 8 weeks to get into shape. They're not going to have the spring, no spring training, no spring ball. Some of them have been working out, and I have a sneaking suspicion probably a third of these guys have been playing in club already. So some of them will be ready, but what do you think about the timeline? You think it's too soon, Dan?
Well, I think they need to at least slow it back for a couple weeks before they start games, or what have you, because it's a big difference when you put on pads and you start hitting, like I said. And even though they've been playing club, it's a different level. I think the teams that will do well are teams that have guys that are returning, that have good chemistry together, that have been playing for a long time together. So in a shortened season, I think that's going to make a big difference. The returning sophomores, juniors, coming into this season.
Randy, what's the word out there regarding the timeline being so quick?
Well, they're concerned. Some of the coaches are concerned on how quickly they can be totally prepared and physically ready to go through a 4-quarter football game. But I've talked to a lot of kids in both sections, both the southern section and the LA City section. And to a man, they all believe they will be ready. They're so fired up. They've been stuck indoors for so long, or practicing on their own, or recently be able to get on the field with some of their teammates. They believe their execution level, because of their hunger, is going to be very good. There'll be great excitement, great enthusiasm, and they're all going to be ready to play. So because of the fact that they're going to be fired up, I think you're going to see pretty good football early on. And I do think they're going to play next week. I think the games that are scheduled will be played on March 12th to March 13th. So both in the southern section and very limited in the city section. As far as I can see, only El Camino at Agur is the only city game involving a city school in El Camino Real. But I think those games will be played, and I think they'll be fairly well played, and I think we'll be surprised by the execution level and how ready these kids are to go.
Now, Bob, I know you've been a naysayer all this time. You thought football was done when the state said it was done, but now that they're back, what do you think about the timeline, Bob? You think we're going to see a lot of injuries possibly because of the lack of time?
I don't know if we'll see injuries so much. I think we'll see a lot of sloppy play early on, and because it's a 5-game season, I think these kids are going to put maybe a little extra pressure on themselves, especially the ones who think, hey, look, I'm trying to play for maybe a spot in a college somewhere, or, I'm trying to impress somebody. I think these kids, they've been itching to play, they've been wanting to play, they're going to get out there. I think the biggest thing for the coaches is going to be settle these kids down, and get them in the right frame of mind to get out there and play football, not go too crazy, right out of the gate, which you could see some injuries in that case, I suppose. But, I think it's more, just trying to get these kids in that right frame of mind that, hey, you know what? Yeah, it's a short season, but, let's be glad we're out here. Let's play some good football. And, whatever it ends up being, it ends up being. I mean, it's not – I don't know what kind of postseason or championships, anything like that is.
Zero postseason.
Happen, right?
No postseason.
You're right. You're going to get your 5 games. No, and what I'm referring to is, are you going to be able to say, hey, we're the Empire League champion, or we're the such and such league champion?
Well, yeah, if you're playing league games.
Right. Well, almost everybody just playing league games, right? I mean, there's a lot of schools just playing league schedules.
All right.
So, and I think Dan could probably speak to this too, better is, just trying to have those conversations with the kids, about, hey, do your job right, not to sound like Belichick, but, just get out there and play. Don't try to do too much, right? I think that's another coach speak. Don't try to do too much.
Yeah, I would say that's why I think that the guys that have been playing together for, a year or two will do well at the very beginning. And I think you're going to run into some upsets. So, it should be kind of interesting this beginning. It's going to be some surprising football, I think.
Well, it'll be interesting. With all this going on and all trying to cram all the sports seasons pretty much into like a 3-month period, we've already talked about the officials. There's going to be a lack of that. I'm sure the coaches are going to step in. Some of the assistants, some of the lower division coaches who obviously know the rules will be able to help out and assist in that. But what about the athletes, especially if we're talking about the smaller schools where – your football, some of your best football players, probably some of your best wrestlers, or your basketball players or baseball players. The talent. This is going to be a funky season for that reason, because a lot of these athletes that are 2- and 3-sport guys are not going to be able to participate just based on the rules. Can't play 2 sports in one season. You can't do it. So now,
that's true. It's really, guys, the theater of the unknown. I mean, you look at these first games. We don't know who's going to be prepared better than the other guy. I mean. If you were like, quote, betting on games and there were lines, you wouldn't know what to do here. It's, it's a complete wild card for all these teams. And I don't think it's about championships. And I've mentioned this before. These kids are just happy to participate. They're league seasons, and I'm sure in the Trinity League, Servite's going to try to unseat Mater Dei or St. John Bosco. But for the most part, these kids are just excited to play. It's about playing, showcasing their skills, and finally getting on the field.
Go ahead, Bob.
No, I was going to say, Randy's right. I mean, this is something we thought wasn't going to happen, right? I mean, we were all pretty much at that point where, we might get baseball, we might get softball, soccer is a possibility, but no way we're going to get football, right? I mean, it's just too close contact. Basketball, wrestling is all going to be out the door. We're not going to get any, and now we're going to get, I think, all of it at this point. So, to go from basically 0 to 100, just like that, is really something. And boy, I tell you, my hats are off to these coaches and athletic directors I know they've been going double, triple, quadruple time trying to get everything together. One thing I have heard, though, is transportation is an issue. I know for some of these schools, they're going to have to drive themselves to games and events and stuff. So I think there are some logistical things obviously going on, but I think at the end of the day, man, we're happy. Coaches are happy, and kids are happy to just be back in sport.
Well, Bob, to me, that's not a big deal. Just showing up, having your parents drop you off, or friends, or whatever. That's how it used to be back in the old days.
Yeah.
In the old days, we'd ride a horse if we had to get to a game. Just any way to get there.
But nowadays, part of that experience is being on the bus with your guys, and and getting there and having that experience as well. We all did that, right? We all got that chance to ride the bus with our buddies, and that was a whole part of the experience too. So but if those are the little things that kids are going to miss out on, that's not actually that much in the bigger picture of things.
What's really interesting is they've been able to bond these teams through Zoom and their Zoom meetings. So that's a different wrinkle that we've never seen before. We think about bonding and being on the bus, or bonding playing on the field, but they've had Zoom and all. That's how they've congregated on their meetings. So I think because of Zoom, it has brought these together, even though they haven't been on the field that long.
And just real quick, I wonder how many kids thought none of this was going to happen. And now there was a tweet today. A friend of the show, Eric Sonheimer, tweeted that at Garfield High School, there were a couple dozen kids who all of a sudden, we're back on the football field. We want to come play because there's going to be football. So how many kids are out there were thinking, man, this ain't going to happen. But now all of a sudden they're going, wait a minute, I'm coming back out. Maybe that's where you see some injuries happen, because there are some kids who maybe weren't keeping in shape, weren't doing the stuff along the way. And those are the kids that maybe, but they're kids. They're 16, 17 years old, right? So you can bounce back a lot quicker when you're that young.
Yeah, they don't need a ton of time.
Another point I'd like to bring up real quick about the kids, there's been an all-star football player, one of the best players in the LA City section, transferred out because he thought the LAUSD would not play. So he goes to a southern section school. Now the LAUSD is going to play. And I know for a fact that he was contemplating going back to the city section. He's going to stay with his new group in the southern section. But we've seen a little bit of that where some of these players in the LAUSD, not thinking that there would be football being played this season, jumped off to go to a southern section school so they get action. Little did they know that their original school is going to play football.
Randy, I'll go one better. I know some people who have taken their kids out of state to play in Texas, play in Idaho. They went to where the football was. They weren't going to have their kids miss out on their senior season or whatever was going on, or just to play, period. But I know quite a few parents who did that this year. They relocated their kids to areas of the country where they never really shut down, played 15, 14-game seasons without a miss, no problems.
I thought it was interesting that this talented all-city player did contemplate going back to his original school. He felt guilty when he found out the decision earlier this week.
That would have been dicey, Randy, because you know how the rules are. How would have the rules played in on that? 5-game, you got to sit out 5 games when you transfer. I know that's a southern section rule, but I don't know what the city rule is regarding those type of transfers.
It's similar, but I don't know if they've waived certain situations because of COVID. I think the rules are being bended a little bit because of the situation that we're all in. So I think they would have given the kid the opportunity to go back, but he stayed with the new school because he pledged his allegiance to them, and I think that's a good decision on his part.
Who's going to benefit?
I think the bigger. Sorry, I just want to jump in. I think the bigger topic today too is that the indoor sports are coming back, which we really didn't think was going to happen. I mean, I saw pictures today of girls volleyball being played. It was on social media. Girls volleyball being played outside on grass. I mean, come on, to me that was kind of ridiculous. I know you want to get kids out there playing, but volleyball's not played on grass. This isn't a park league or anything. This is real high school varsity volleyball. These girls deserve to play on a court. They're going to get that chance, I'm assuming now that indoor sports are open. So I think that was really the biggest part of this whole thing. We never thought we'd get basketball or volleyball. We thought there was a chance at some of the outdoor sports, as small as that was, but there was zero chance to get the indoor stuff. Now we're going to get that because apparently when lawsuits are settled, COVID goes away, I guess.
True.
Well, there is outdoor volleyball, but it's on the sand, not on the grass.
Yeah, I saw it on grass today, Randy. I saw some social media today. It was on the grass, and I just thought, come on, guys. I know you want to get playing out there, but playing on the ground. I mean, they were talking about wrestling outdoors, which I think that would have been okay. But basketball and volleyball outside, no. We've talked about that before.
Bob, if I'm one of these kids, I would play on an airplane wing at 30,000 feet, just a chance to compete once again after having to sit out. In terms
that's
of
not a real season, though. That's not a real season.
In terms of volleyball,
don't give them any ideas. They might try that.
Listen, man, a game's a game. Everybody's playing on the same playing field. So whether you're playing volleyball on grass, sand, dirt, the parking lot, don't matter. You're under the same conditions. You all have the same skill level. Let's see how well you do. I don't think it would matter if you're an athlete where you play. As far as the wrestling goes, doing it outside, man, that's as old as the hills everywhere, man. Everybody's done that before.
But you can put mats outside. That's the difference.
No. The collegiates, they shut down Manhattan. They put it in Times Square, Broadway. They shut it down. The prime real estate. The NCAA stuck wrestling mats out there, and they had matches out there day and night in Manhattan. Look it up. You'll see it. Joey Davis wrestled there when he was in college. He went undefeated. So that's how I know about this thing in Manhattan. I saw the footage. So they wrestle, and they do it often. The NCAAs do it often. So wrestling outdoors, it's not a big deal. Wrestling's wrestling. You get in a fight,
that wasn't going to be a big deal.
You know? So
I've seen, guys, volleyball outdoors in Central Park before in New York. I was there to call it, so I've seen it. It can happen.
It's there.
It should be in.
But,
and you know what? With the exception of Dan DeForest, who grew up with all the trappings of good life, the rest of us had to rough it. It was nothing but chain. Remember that St. John made up? Nothing but chain when we were kids. There was no nets. There was no indoor courts. It was blacktops, asphalt. And when somebody knocked you down, you probably ended up getting your elbows skinned up or your knees skinned up. But, that's where you started. So it's not a big deal, I don't think. Bob, you probably bougé too. Huh? Yeah, you guys grew up Randy, you grew up in the laps of luxury too, man. All you guys did. I'm the only one from the hood around here.
We played outside.
Come on. Yeah, sure
all
you did.
All my courts were blacktop, metal chains, and if you rolled an ankle, you tied your high tops just a little bit tighter. You could play.
That's about it. Or
you never knew what height you were going to get on the basketball, on the rim. It's like, you could dunk it sometimes. So we played all the time outside.
Hey, Rich, I live in the valley, but I don't live south of the boulevard. Ventura Boulevard is the line that tells you if you have a little bit of extra dollars around the house, and I'm not south of the boulevard in North Hollywood.
Yeah, and that's like Rucker Park out there, man. It's really tough. I get it. Come on, man. Listen to you guys. All right, so moving forward, I already know the Trinity League's going to play their season, and I figured that would happen. Do you guys think there will be a lot of schools that will not play football? You think there's going to be any districts that just shut it down?
No, I don't think any districts will shut it down. I think individual schools will, and I think we'll see some of that in the LA City section because they don't think they can financially, handle certain aspects of what they're going to have to do to create the proper protocol. So I think some of the city schools won't play, but I think the majority will certainly try to play.
Yeah, I think there will be some schools, but by and large, I think most schools will try to get some sort of a season in.
That was pretty cool, Bob. How did you do that echo? He was like a ventriloquist right there. You see that?
Right?
That was crazy. What do you think, Dan?
I think for sure they're going to play, and they're going to push to get their team out there on the field because so many kids, especially the seniors, they might never play football again. So they're going to push to try to get these kids an opportunity to get out on the field. This is their last chance. 5 games is 5 games. I would take it. They want to go out there and hit and win some games.
Yeah, I don't blame them. It's part of the curriculum. And you know what the sad thing is, guys, is the atmosphere. The camaraderie you get with your teammates, your school. You may not. Some of these schools may not give a ton of support, but people are out there, and they care. And that's going to be hard, and it's going to be hard on the fans too that want to come out watch football on a Friday night. It's going to be such small crowds now, like it or not, and it's going to be relegated to maybe 4 parents per, parents and brother, sister, family members from if you're playing, and everybody else would pretty much be out. I'm not sure how the school is going to deal with the student bodies because, a lot of these kids aren't playing football, like supporting the team. They got friends, they want to see it. Now what?
Can't play. won't be able to go to the games. It's strictly going to be family members for the most part. You got to look at certain situations. Dan's so optimistic. I love it, but there are some pessimistic aspects to this, and that's the fact that there won't be fans. I think of the Garfield Roosevelt game in the LA City section, which historically has had up to 25,000 fans. You're going to have just the family members there, and it's not going to look like it normally does. But the bottom line, we're going to get Garfield against Roosevelt. So
hang on, Randy. You're talking East LA. They're still going to fill that stadium if it's just family members, man. I'm from the hood over there, brother. I know exactly how big those families are.
I like your concept, but they'll limit the family members then, because it's not going to be a whole lot.
Well, look at DeForest over there is a big entrepreneur. He's thinking they ought to raise the ticket prices like triple.
That's right.
He's talking 50.
It doesn't really matter.
$50 a game, $50 a game to $100 a game for an adult, and if you got an ASB card, it's going to be $20.
Hey, you think you're going to be scalping family to family? You say, I've only got 2 family members. I can scalp a couple of these tickets to another family that needs more.
You probably could.
When we get to the indoor basketball games, like at a modern day or a school like that, or Sierra Canyon.
Sierra Canyon.
You'll sell, the courtside Nicholson seats for $2,500 a piece.
Right.
Yeah. So what's the deal with the media?
I saw somebody's football schedule today, and they had the different notations on it. One of them said homecoming. I thought, how are you going to have homecoming with no fans there?
They're going to have it. I guarantee they're going to have a homecoming. There's going to be stuff like that going on.
I mean, it's like, okay, we're reaching a little bit, right? I mean, how are you going to have homecoming and nobody's coming to the game, right? Homecoming is all about getting the alumni to come back and enjoy that experience and celebrate. And without those people, I don't know how you can call it homecoming.
All right.
I'm going to make one prediction for you guys. There's going to be some team in either the city or the southern section that'll have senior day or night more than once. They're going to play a game thinking it's senior day, and they'll honor the kids. Then they'll get another game that was postponed earlier in the year, and they'll play again at home after the senior day, and they'll have a second senior day. That's my prediction.
Okay, that could happen.
I don't know about that. That's a pretty bold statement right there. You think they could pull that off and nobody would notice?
There won't be anybody there anyway, so they can honor their students and their seniors as many times as they want.
All right. That sounds plausible. We'll go with that. So what do you think, DeForest?
I think the fans, worrying too much about the fans, a little overrated. They're not playing for the fans out there. When you get out on the field, you can hardly hear that. You're so focused on the game, playing and trying to win. And
LeBron James would he would challenge that. He said he plays for the fans, and there would be no fans, he wasn't going to play.
Oh,
you got opposing viewpoints there, Dan.
I don't know. I just, as a player and a coach, I just remember playing the game. I tried to win. That's all, and I wasn't worried about who was cheering for me or what was going on. They were trying to put on a game, trying to win. So I think the kids are just excited about getting out there.
Dan was more concerned with the people that were booing him because it was constant back then. So I get it, Dan.
Come on, why are you doing that?
It plays on your ego a little bit, Guys, this season, unlike the NBA and unlike the NCAA, there's going to be no champion. Everybody else had champions. A little dull on everything. Is that kind of killing things a little bit when you, in terms of trying to follow it? Because there's really not much to follow after that last game, that last league game.
Well, we already have a national football high school champion, right? That's already been crowned.
Yep.
So
IMG.
without California having played a game.
Well, you know what? I don't blame them. You got to go on without California. I mean, if you're not going to play, you don't deserve to be in the hunt for the national title. It's like the lottery. If you want to win, you got to play. Let a player play.
If Modern Day or Centennial or Servite or Bosco runs the table and kills all their opponents, they're going to want to say, "Hey, look, we were 5-0 and we deserve to be in the conversation."
Yeah, again, these guys are just so excited to be out there. We're going to have to wait for softball and baseball and the other sports to get our playoffs. Right now, again, it's about participation, getting out there, showcasing your skills. If you're a high-level athlete, maybe showing the colleges how good you are. They may not have seen you because you haven't been hidden, because you haven't been seen in a year and a half. But I don't think they're worried about championships. They just want to play. They want to win the game. They want to win the individual game. But they don't, at this point, worry about a championship unless it's their league.
Here's what's going to happen. Somebody like Orange Lutheran's going to get hot, and they're going to whip everybody in that Trinity League, and they're not going to have a shot to be a national champion, and the bragging rights won't mean much. right?
Here's what I think. I think Servite's going to run the table there. I think they got a great team. They have that, Noah Fifita and that wide receiver, and I think that they've been playing together since they were in Pop Warner. They're going to run the table.
You got to tilt. We got to tilt down and see what's in that cup right there that you're drinking, because that's crazy.
No, I'm telling you, that's
come on, brother.
Last year, I've had a lot of conversations. I think they're going to have a powerhouse team this year.
I don't know.
Open offense, playing together. Watch out.
They think they can win the Trinity League, and Fafita might be the best quarterback in the section.
Troy Thomas is back, everybody. Troy Thomas has put himself together a really good team.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It'll just be interesting to see, if somebody can stand up and get by these two guys, these two giants, the behemoths, Modern Day and Bosco. They've been flip-flopping with national championships. IMG Academy just took it to them this year and threw them right out. With only an 8-game schedule, became national champs. Hey, it is what it is. So we'll see what happens.
Don't forget the storyline for both Modern Day and Bosco, where they were both replacing quarterbacks. One went to Clemson, right. One went to Alabama, right? I mean, maybe the two best quarterbacks.
And neither played.
A year ago.
And neither played.
But it's a short season. It's only 5 games with no preseason. I mean, anything could happen here. These kids played together.
But the point is, those were the top 2 high school quarterbacks in the nation, and both those schools were having to replace quarterbacks this year. So, this was the year Servite really thought they were poised to kind of maybe jump in there and do something, and they might still.
There's a lot of people blowing up my phone right now laughing at that Servite prediction. I'm just saying.
Why would they do that?
I'm not trying to say it's right, not trying to motivate anybody. All I'm saying is we got some people laughing. John Conti's one of them right here. But there's at least 6 or 7 people are checking in on what's going on. So
St. John Bosco is going to have an unbelievable offensive line. One going to USC, one might go to USC because he's an underclass.
When don't they? They always have that.
And you look at modern day, Bruce Rawlinson thinks his defense is as good as any defense he's ever had there. So those 2 schools are still pretty good, and they'll meet on April 16th, so that should be a heck of a football.
They may be good, that defense, but it ain't good as Tampa Bay's is. I'm telling you right now. There's just no way. The Bucks are off the charts. Hey, fellas, listen, we got to go. I'm getting the wind-up sign. I've been getting it for a while, but I just let you guys talk. I don't care. I want to be a renegade here. Give Larry some heck. Hey, by the way, Larry ran into a pane of glass again in the studio here. He's not used to this place, and we ran into it. What was it last week, John? 2 weeks ago?
He does it all the time.
Lighthouse Studios over here, and so that today he caught himself before he went through the glass. I mean, literally, he was walking at about probably 3 miles an hour, which is really fast for Larry. He was booking, and then at the last minute, I saw the skids on his shoes, just left the skid marks. Right, he just bounced off the glass. So let him know that when you see him. I'm saying it to your face, Larry. I don't want you to say like I told everybody behind your back. All right, brother? All right, listen. Thanks, guys. On behalf of Randy Rosenblum, Bob Gibson, Dan DeForest, I'm Rich Estrella, saying so long to your friends here at the SoCal Prep Report. We're going to be here every week as long as the prep season stays open. All right? It's hit and miss. You know how it is this year. All right.